Currently, the XFL will not be playing its regular season games. However, all players will be paid their base pay and benefits for the 2020 regular season. All XFL ticket holders will be issued refunds or credit towards future games. The XFL is committed to playing a full season in 2021 and future years.
No, actually, you know, it's great confident leadership of the XFL off, and following or just being responsible to society and not putting our players at risk, and trying to cooperate with everybody that's trying to get a hold on this entire virus. So in the end, it's what's best for the players and their safety and their families and everyone else. So we found out yesterday ahead of the XFL making a public announcement, so we were able to alert the players, and just being responsible to the community.
Bob, did you think you guys might play this weekend as late as Wednesday night, even as everybody else is canceled? Did you think you guys were still going ahead as planned?
No, I figured our leadership was looking at it and monitoring it, and we still, we weren't having games until the weekend, so I figured they were gonna, they would make a decision as time came, and they made the right decision.
You've been around sports for many years. Craziest thing you've ever seen?
This is it's just so different, and but as we were talking, just as a team, there's more important things than playing games. So making sure we can get a hold of or try and limit and this entire situation, try and minimize it, or to do what you can to stop it, and so we're doing our part, and believe it's the right decision.
For you personally, I know you only got to do half of this. Is this something that you think you're going to want to get a shot at next season?
I hope to. Yes, I know everybody's excited. The league has been really pleased overall with the success and everything that we're doing, and they think, and the league has demonstrated that the way they're going to continue to honor the players' contracts till they're finished at the end of May, and that's what benefits and their salaries, and so it's something that I'm looking forward to doing, in the future as well. But the league is going to continue to move forward. We already have meetings set up for 2021.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to a very somber edition of the XFL Weekend Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, and on this week's show, the XFL suspends the season. We have reaction, the latest news, and more. We'll definitely get all the way into that going forward, but first, we would like to thank our sponsor, Mother's Cantina. Give them a shout out one last time. They've been great, and they're affected by all the stuff that's going on that we'll get talking to. But if you're still in the Maryland area and still there, you can still order delivery. They do YouTube or Uber Eats, so you can order them. But for all those people that are not in the Maryland area, fans of the XFL News Hub, why don't you help these guys out, because all the restaurants in the area are going to get hit because of what we're about to talk about, and you all know what's going on. You can go to their site and just click on store, and you can order all sorts of merchandise. You got Mother's Cantina shot cups. You got their hot sauce, Mother's favorite hot sauce. You can get hoodies, hats, T-shirts, some pretty cool T-shirts in there too. The baseball T-shirt looks cool. You can also get their flour tortillas sent right to your house. You don't have to go anywhere. You can order their stuff online. They'll ship it out to you. It'd be a great way to support these guys as everybody is going through these tough times, and support local businesses everywhere. And this is your chance. You ain't going where. You ain't got nothing going on. Might as well get a little hot sauce, get some tortillas, and help support Mother's Cantina as they have to deal with what's going on across the country just like everybody else. So what they are, Mother's Cantina whips up the award-winning recipes of fresh Tex-Mex at affordable prices paired with the best margaritas in the heart of Ocean City. So if you're in that Ocean City area and you live in that area, just do the Uber Eats and you're fine. They'll ship it right to your place. With a focus on bold flavors and fresh, organic, and local ingredients, we create award-winning dishes and drinks to keep you coming back for more. Our new tortilla shop also offers quick carryout, pickup, market, and beer, wine, and more. Hang out there. They are Mother's Cantina, 28th Street Plaza, 2810 Philadelphia Avenue, Ocean City, Maryland. For more info, you can just email them info@motherscantina.com. We'd like to thank them as their proud sponsor of the XFL Week in Review podcast from your friends at XFL News Hub. And just give them a shout out, follow them. If you live in the area, get some takeout and support these local businesses as we've going through something that's frankly crazy. And the only thing I could think of, the only thing I could say when it comes to what's going on in the world is Mother Nature said, hey, bitches, you remember me? You forgot about me. I'm in charge here. And that's kind of what's going on. We'll get into that stuff later. Your reaction to the XFL season ending. So how do you get in touch with the show? You email podcast@XFL News Hub with your MP3s or videos, or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. Question of the week, clearly your reaction to the XFL suspending the season and everything else that's going on in the world. With all this stuff going on, and we're following it as like you guys are, that we decided to just suspend our little contest. We still have the names that are in the hat, so to speak. We will do a contest at some other point, but right now we just need to kind of hunker down, and because everything is just kind of thrown out of whack, as you could tell. So we're going to hold off on the contest. We still appreciate your reviews. Leave them on there. We'll restart up. If you already left a review and subscribed on YouTube, you're already entered to win, but we're just going to kind of push this back because you don't have a season going on, and that would be weird. So we're going to talk basically about how we got from a week ago doing highlights to now and a nationwide shutdown. So today's episode is about the coronavirus, how we got there, we're at here, plus your reaction. And then this is like, I don't know. I'll get into it more. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. So this is how we got started. And Matthew and I, Nagashima, I was messaging him at some point in the beginning of the week, I think. It was around the beginning of the week because I'd follow the coronavirus story, and I was following it, and we discussed whether or not we should write something about it. And I was like, maybe we should hold off because we don't want to panic anybody, but we really need to kind of keep an eye on this thing and see what happens. And finally, Pro Football Talk had reached out to the XFL and got them a comment. This was on March 5th. Okay, today, as of this recording, it is March 16th. So March 5th was a Thursday, just before the XFL weekend games. And we didn't even talk about this in the podcast the following week because I was just like, I don't know if we should really do that. And basically the article is all about the different changes that were happening. And so the XFL had made the following statement to Pro Football Talk. And then at that point, we figured we need to say something about it. So it said, quote, the health and safety of the entire XFL family is the utmost importance. The XFL told Pro Football Talk via email on Wednesday, even though Pro Football Talk doesn't like them. We have established a COVID task force and are closely monitoring this public health issue. We are in regular contact with our medical advisory board as well as health public safety officials on national and local basis. Additionally, we have connected with other professional sports leagues to share information and best practices considering the impact, blah, 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 going forward. So XFL was getting good attendance. We know St. Louis. I see St. Louis fans in the chat room. Seattle fans were having a great turnout. Things were starting to look pretty good. And then this kind of was on the periphery. But again, you're talking about Thursday, March 5th. That same day that we put out this article, we had to put out another one. That a Seattle Dragons stadium vendor tested positive for the coronavirus. And now you got to know that Washington was the first heavy hit area. And just on a side note, so clearly, if you think this is my full-time job, you're sadly mistaken. This is not my full-time job. This is a passion project that I like doing. I built websites before, but I'm also a software engineer, and I think I've spoken about this before. And I work for a contractor at NIH. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's involved with the testing and all this coronavirus stuff going on. So my two worlds collided, where my real job was dealing with this coronavirus in the real world, and then my fun job, XFL News Hub, was also meshed together. And these worlds were separate, and then all of a sudden they just collided together. And it's been a crazy, you guys know, been crazy, cray, cray. So we had this happen. So that came out on March 5th as well. And that somebody that worked for one of the vendors tested positive for the coronavirus, and it was a part-time concessions person. They were there at the February 22nd Seattle Dragons game at CenturyLink Field, and they were kind of keeping their eye on that stuff. That was March 5th. By March 12th, the XFL suspended its season indefinitely. And this was a huge story broken by Connor Falk. That's a quarterback. Connor Falk broke that story that the league was suspended. Solid source. They were suspending their season. No official announcement yet. And they were trying to do at the time was to play a game. At the time, it was talking, we're going to try to play a game in Seattle without any fans. But the dominoes just started dropping. Then it was DC, and then LA was having an issue, and they didn't want fans in there. And then it just snowballed. And really, the catalyst was when one of the NBA players from the Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert, was that his name? I forget his name. Tell me, chat room, the guy's name. Had the coronavirus, and at that point, it was like, all right, this isn't a fan safety thing. Now this is a player safety thing too. And the statement reads as follows, and we read it at the beginning of the show, and we'll read it now. Currently, the XFL will not be playing its regular season games. We'll get back to that little statement. However, all players will be paid their base salaries and benefits for the 2020 regular season. All XFL ticket holders will be issued refunds or credit towards future games. The XFL is committed to playing a full season in 2021 and future years. And it was like, wow. Now, there was a little bit of hope in that statement. A little bit, but not really. A little bit of hope. Because in the words, currently the XFL will not be playing its regular season games. That was purposely put in there and phrased that way. Because maybe if this thing went away in 2 weeks, that we could get some playoff games. That was on March 12th. So they suspended the season March 12th. That was Thursday. That's right. 1 week after we first reported about the coronavirus hitting the sports world, and we were probably like 2 days late, and we had talked about it but didn't do it. A week later, the XFL suspends its season. I mean, the dominoes fell. NBA, they all did it, and then that was it, and that was over. And the season is officially done. A week later. We weren't even talking about this as even a possibility last week on the show. Weren't even talking about it. Later on, 2 days later, while they're kind of doing their end of season thing, a Seattle Dragons player tests positive for the COVID-19 coronavirus. The league's decision to suspend operation appears to have just come in time as the XFL player tested positive for the virus. This was from sources from ESPN. Our own Connor Falk also was able to verify through his sources that there, in fact, was a player and he started to feel symptoms and was sent home Tuesday, and he ultimately tested positive. His teammates were told, but they were low risk to them as there's been very little contact. And then basically Dragons players were allowed to fly back to their respective homes due to the low risk. Players have been requested to self-quarantine when they settle at home out of heightened caution. Players were told to only pursue tests if they were feeling ill, which makes sense because you don't want to have people doing tests when the real people might potentially need it. Of course, then the XFL is committed to the 2020 season, 2021, blah, blah, blah. Later on, the XFL put out a statement, March 15th, which was yesterday. A player on the Seattle Dragons tested positive for the COVID-19. The player participated in the March 7th game against the Roughnecks in Houston and was asymptomatic at the time. He self-reported it to team medical staff on March 10th, has been in quarantine since. A test was administered as early as possible with the results received on March 13th. As planned and following, the league announced that March 12th that the regular season games would not be played. All Dragons players met with medical staff. On the 13th, for exit physicals, each player was screened for symptoms, educated by the CDC guidelines, and offered free extended stay housing for those that chose to self-quarantine. So not only do you have this stuff going on, the games are over. I'll finish. The league is alerting players, staff, vendors, and partners associated with the Dragons, Roughnecks, and Battlehawks as the player also participated in the 29th game in St. Louis. The XFL is monitoring the situation closely, taking every measure necessary in accordance with recommendations set forth by CDC, Washington State Health Department. And there you have it. And that's been basically it from the XFL. And the season is done. So I guess Jonathan Manziel was a little right, but no one could have predicted this. I mean, for me, man, we've been waiting 2 years for this sucker. 2 years for it to come. We started doing the podcast a year in the making before the season started. We waited 1 year out, and we're like, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. Hang out with you knuckleheads. First we recorded it, and then now we stream live, which I like doing. I think it's fun. Got a nice little chat going on about expansion teams, something everybody loves talking about. But man, stuff got real. And I really thought when the COVID coronavirus deal was going on, I really thought that there was I was like, okay, I think we can probably get to the end of the season and get a playoff game going before this kind of hits this country. And every day, it's been something new. Like the kids in Maryland, school was closed as of Thursday last week. Then there was, nobody can gather over 250 people. Now it's 50 people? I think that's going to change to 10. Instead of 2 weeks out, we're talking 8 weeks out maybe before. That's what the news is going on today. People, it's not an old person thing. Now it's middle-aged people and young people are getting really sick and talking about curves and trying to dampen the outbreak. And this is insane. I could never imagine this. And the announcement happened, and it really took me a couple days. Like, I don't even want to look at the site. I can't even deal with this. And plus, with everything going on, and it just sucks. So, and I'm always somebody try to look on the positive side of things. This one's tough. This one's tough to look on the positive side. I mean, Houston was on a great run. I knew March Madness was going to happen, and then the ratings were going to go down a little bit more. But we were all in. This was a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Brian Lombardo on XFL News Hub and I were knee deep. He was hitting the social media thing. We were covering the games. All of our reporters were writing about the games. And then all of a sudden it's over. And not only no championship game, nothing, just that's it. Partnerships that we were making, deals that we were doing, improvements that we were making, everything just stopped. And now it's beyond sports and it's just life now. But I'll tell you this, that XFL News Hub isn't going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We got the best writers in the biz on our site. We're just kind of started in off-season mode. And today's show is just kind of a woe is me, woe is us. The season's over, but real life kicks in. And we're going to start talking about going forward. It's just so hard to talk about going forward. We didn't even get to finish it yet. But the XFL has come out straight up. They will be back next year. We'll talk expansion teams, which isn't going to happen this year. But we'll be back with a vengeance. But we're not going anywhere. There's lots of things that are coming down the pike. The NFL draft is going to be interesting because we're going to see who doesn't get picked. We're going to see XFL guys sign with the NFL. That parallel will happen. I mean, if things don't clear up by June, July, are we going to get summer showcases going again? Players coming out? Everything is just in limbo. And then we have our draft. Is the NFL season going to be impacted? I mean, if the NFL season still if this doesn't go away by June, we're in trouble. And then what if it comes back? There's so much uncertainty. This is crazy. I was around young in my 20s, late 20s or something, when 9/11 happened. And that's one thing that people have talked about that they compared it to. This is beyond that, but this is bigger because 9/11 happened and it was a week or two later, sports came back and we were kind of on unease. I remember being at a wedding once in Maryland and fighter jets flew over the wedding and everybody was looking at them and yeah, I wonder what that's all about. And then now we have this. Now Vince McMahon's got plenty of money, and I think they're fine. I think they've seen success. I'm sure the ratings were good. It just stinks. Can you, after all this time, finally bring it back, and then you just can't finish the season because of a pandemic, of all things, a stupid pandemic. But that's where we're at. So going forward on XFL News Hub, we're going to cover everything. We are the Superfans website. So if they hire a new janitor, we're going to talk about it. If coaches leave, come back, we'll talk about it. Players getting pulled into the NFL draft. Kenny Robinson, that's the biggest thing now is the NFL draft and Kenny Robinson, where he goes. Does PJ Walker get signed with the team? Why not? He better not be some backup. Just stick with us. And if some miracle happens and somehow all the things that we did now, and then in 2 weeks, things change, which I highly, highly doubt. I would not be a betting man at all on that. And we go back down to the original statement. The XFL is not playing its regular season games, and we can somehow get to a playoff. That would be unbelievable through God's grace, because I don't even know what else we got at this point. But that's where we're at. But we're XFL News Hub, and I think one of the guys said, we're going to come back with a vengeance. We're not going anywhere. We're planning stuff already. So the one thing you can do as an XFL fan is, number one, support your local businesses, but support the XFL. That's get your season tickets and get out down XFL shop and order some merch. That's how you can support the league. Get your season tickets now. I'll tell you, my season tickets were great, and I could have sold 2 games, and I would have easily started making money. I'm just letting you know. If you just want to get the season tickets to resell them, do that too. It's not a big investment. You get your tax money back. You get your season tickets and lock them in. That's what you all need to do. That's how we could support the league. And wear that merch out. Well, don't go out. Wear that merch at home. I guess, I don't know what you can do. But stay safe out there, my friends. And we're just going to keep doing it. We're going to be back. We're back every Monday at 8 p.m. We're talking XFL. It's tough with nothing, no sports going on, and the season cut short after 5 games. But at least we have something. And now we can move forward. And we know, if you're a super fan hanging out with me, you know that this league is coming back with a vengeance next year. And I'm totally excited about it. And I'm totally excited about how we're going to bring coverage, because a year ago it was me and like 1 or 2 other people, and that was it. And now we got a team of people ready to rock and roll. We got new content coming out, and it'll be good. All right, so we'll take a commercial break. We'll get to your social media stuff about this whole thing right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
That's right. You can get that app. So get it on there today. Thanks for everybody on the chat room checking in. Tom Brady, the XFL, he doesn't need the money. No way. He's not coming to XFL. Have Vince committed to another year? Absolutely, Shane. Yes, he did. He's committed. They're all committed. Ain't nobody going anywhere when it comes to the XFL stuff. All right, let's get to our social media stuff right now. First, we have emails, we got phone calls, we got your social stuff. Man, we weren't even talking about this. We were talking about games last week. Ugh. So depressing. But we'll get through this, friends. Together. You ain't got nowhere to go. You're stuck at home. So now you got me every 8 o'clock, every Monday. We're hanging. Marshall Graves, I miss it on TV and understand no fans, but can we still play the game? No, because of the players getting sick. That's all French. Okay, cool. Aaron says, very disappointed. Blake, good decision. Nis Smith, I'm really upset the XFL got canceled because coronavirus, but I was enjoying the XFL. I watch every XFL game on every weekend, and I was loving it. Me too. That's what sucks about this. Right now, I have nothing to watch on weekends. I really hope the XFL will return in 2021. Be safe and getting better. Let's go DC Defenders, America's team. And I wanted to see America's team come back with a vengeance. But we didn't even get a chance to see it. I'll tell you what, it didn't help Cardell Jones. As a possible, we were worried about him gone. He'll be back. Jonathan says, bummed out, but understand. Unidad says, I was really upset. I was enjoying every game, even though my team was not winning every game. By the way, my team is DC. Yeah, I was so surprised. So DC's not playing well surprised me a little bit. I'll give you that. Glenn the Lifter says, definitely not a happy camper. I thought it was some good football. Hopefully this will not be the only season. I look forward to seeing how far the XFL will go. Me too. Jeffrey Pollock was straight up saying that they're good, like no worries. Understand Swobo 50. Understand the decision was the right decision, but still disappointed. Great product. Enjoyed it very much. Was looking forward to being in the Dome at St. Louis with 50,000 crazy Battlehawk fans for the final games, ready for next year. St. Louis is going to be on fire next year. They got a little taste. That fan base got a little taste, and now they're going to be ready to rock and roll. They're going to be ready. That's going to be real interesting to see how that stuff is coming out. Let's see. So bummed I didn't get to see the Roughnecks win the championship. And there you go with that part. On to the Twitters. Let's see what we got. They ruined their chance to succeed. They could have postponed for a couple weeks or the end of the month to wipe out the rest of the season. Just doomed them. No longer interested in supporting them. Yikes. That's not very nice. That's not very nice at all. Byron says, at least they lasted longer than the AAF. Not really. No, the AAF went week 8. And Stain the Timbre. So it doesn't matter to St. Louis when the Battlehawks play. We'll pack the Dome whenever they see it. 2021 champs incoming, baby. Maybe. Some good stuff there. What else we got on the Facebooks? Reaction pouring in about the season. Dennis says, it's sad this virus thing had to happen. It was really like the big changes the XFL did around this time. Stay healthy, everyone. Hope to see you next year. Amen to that, my brother. Michael, I only missed watching one game in the 5 weeks. Completely bummed out that the season ended like this. However, I'm definitely looking forward to next year. Wish we had a team in Indianapolis. There you go, fans out there. More people wanting teams out there. Steven says, I really enjoyed watching the XFL games, but I can totally understand why they had to do it. They had to canceling the season. I support their decision. I'm looking forward to watching the XFL football next year. Me too. David is looking forward to watching St. Louis home games against Houston. Would have been a crazy scene. I know. Oh, I know. That would have been great. Some great television. And Tom says, I still want to know how many pairs of socks a Viper fans goes through in the month. With all the, he said some bad words. In there. All right, let's go to some emails and phone calls real quick. Check in on our fans. Let's see. I just want to tell anyone willing to listen, ticket prices are very high. I wanted to travel to see the team in Los Angeles, but at these prices, no way, Jose. How about $30 to start? All those. I don't know why I don't know where you were looking. I don't know where you were looking at. Let's see. Will says XFL News Hub is the best damn XFL news out there. They do all the dirty work for their fans. As a fan, I appreciate all you do. You're what makes XFL fun, especially the fantasy world. Yeah, we got some of the best fantasy guys out there in the biz doing the XFL thing. So we appreciate them too. And let's go to our first phone caller, shall we?
Hi, this is Lek from Indianapolis. And first of all, I just want to tell you how much I love and appreciate your podcast. There's so many sources for the XFL online, and I like that you just gather all the pertinent information together and present it, pretty coherently in one episode. And it's something that I just look forward to, every Tuesday evening at work. I listen to it, from start to finish. So, what I'd like to know is what are your thoughts about possible expansion? I think that it's a situation where obviously if the league is going to become, reach its potential as far as popularity, we're going to have to have more than 8 teams. But at the same time, it's important, as I've seen, like, for example, from the old USFL and from the WNBA, when you expand too much too quickly, it can hurt you. So anyway, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, and I'm really hoping that we'll get a team here in Indianapolis in the near future. I think the city would really support it. I'm a high school football commentator here in the Indianapolis area, and it's an area that really loves its football. So anyway, thanks again for the great podcast. Keep up the good work. Look forward to many more episodes and hopefully many more seasons.
All right. Thanks for the phone call. There's, especially after this, there's no expansion. And I think if anything, you expansion fans out there, you're not going to get expansion in year 3 either. They need 2 solid years before they talk about expanding to another area. And this totally throws it off. You're not going to get expansion, unfortunately. But hey, I appreciate the kind words. We'll be here every week, all the way till kickoff again a year from now. Oh, can you believe it? It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, we have to start this all over again. We didn't even get to finish it. Now we got to start all over again. You could be kidding me, man. You're kidding me. Not cool, man. Not cool. Thanks for the phone call. Jamal says Manziel was kind of right, with a little middle finger and a sad face. Yes, he kind of was right. That's too bad. Let's see what else. Will says season suspension, great for trying to keep the spread down, but horrible for fans. Got to do what is help out America and keep everyone strong. At Wilson27 on Twitter, checking in there. Let's go to another phone caller, shall we?
Hi, this is Lek from Indianapolis. This is a follow-up to the message I left for you on Tuesday. I just saw on Facebook a friend of mine posted the XFL statement on currently not playing the regular season games. And I'm very disappointed for several reasons that I'll get into. Number one, I thought that unless there absolutely was no reasonable, safe way to do it, that they should have, at the very least, played the games with, empty stadiums, because in the absence of the NBA and the NCAA tournament, I think it would have dramatically increased XFL TV ratings. And if it's necessary to not play the games right now, then why not say, let's come back in a month or two, when it becomes safe. I think that would have been a very reasonable option, especially because there still would not have been a lot of competition from other sports. And then finally, that in the statement, there's no explanation given for why it was made, and there's no thanks to the fans or no apologies. So I'm very, very disappointed. I hope there will be a further statement, and I hope the league will continue its season later in the year. But yeah, very disappointing, and certainly a major, major blow to a league that was doing so much right to start off the season. I hope it recovers from this. We'll see.
Yeah, actually, you make a good point that there wasn't anything like, oh, we apologize to our fans, but they kept it kind of open. And as we're seeing, and I think that everybody was like, this is a fluid situation. You couldn't do the empty stadium thing because one player has it, then all the players get sick. Talking about they're sweating over each other. I mean, you could have tested every single player that came in, but you don't want to be like, oh, then the XFL played, and half the roster is now has the virus, and so you just really couldn't. They really just didn't have any choice. But I was totally with you. I was like, oh, if we can just get through this weekend with empty stadiums, there's no sports on, maybe we can do it. And I was like, oh, Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. He might just be like, I don't care. Let's just do it. That was terrible, Vince McMahon thing. That maybe that might have happened, but you can't. You can't play the games. Players, you could get sued out the wazoo by forcing the players to play. It was just they had no choice. That's the problem, man. They had no choice. Appreciate the dual phone calls. I mean, things happen so quickly. It's like, oh, I put in a phone call. I'm talking about the games. And then 2 days later, the league is folded. Or not, the league does not fold. Did not fold. Ended the season early. It's just a bummer. Aaron said, oh, this is EW. Says, my husband and I got married in October 2018. He's in his 40s and I'm in my 30s, and although he is a lifelong sports fan, I was never really into sports. I started watching the NFL with him and enjoy learning about the game from him. On a fluke, I watched the documentary about the previous iteration of the XFL. That's on ESPN Plus a few weeks before we heard that the XFL was coming back. Love that documentary. Love that documentary. We might have to rewatch that again for fun now that the league kind of came back. Maybe we could do that. That'd be fun. Based on that, I didn't have much faith in the new XFL at first. But the more I learned about it, the more excited I became. What got my attention first was the fact that the XFL, in an era of CTE awareness and the Me Too movement, by which I mean that it was clear that this isn't about maximizing violence and the objectification of women, which was kind of what the old one was. Everything from the new rules to the inclusion of women officials is a breath of fresh air. Then came the personal stories, connections to the game that the players brought with them. My husband and I love hearing about how dedicated the players are and how much they want to play the game they love. Getting to hear about their personal backstories added an extra layer of depth to our connection to the success on the field. We planned our Saturdays and Sundays around watching the games together, and we were having a blast rooting for Seattle for him, St. Louis for me. I am perhaps, though, most impressed by the decision of whoever is at the top to suspend the season, whether it was Mr. Luck or Mr. McMahon or both, because even though everyone thought that they would force the season to keep going because they wanted the money and didn't want to lose out on the investment, it turned out that they had the best interests of the players' best interests and the players' best interests in mind. That lines up with all the other positive leaderships that we've seen out of the XFL so far. As for me and my house, we will remain devoted fans, and we are excited for the 2021 season. Thanks, EW. Checking in, EW. Great take. And I totally agree with you. Totally agree. And that's great. And plenty of stories like that. People totally into the XFL and excited. And it was becoming part of their life. And now it's fortunately not there. And we're living in a new reality, my friends. New reality. All right, next phone call up.
Hey, I understand the travel bans. I understood when, they're saying, hey, no, at some events they were like, hey, no fans in the stands, just like family, like straight up family members and TV crews and the players and coaches. And when the XFL made their decision, it was at the point where, if you remember, I'm sure everybody does, everybody else was done. Baseball, soccer, everything in the NCAA, NBA, and I'm thinking, okay, way to go, XFL. I mean, okay, maybe they won't be able to have fans there, but they'll be the one little bit of normal. They will be the ones that will bring normalcy to the United States for just a few hours, because it's crazy out there. Like, I watch the news, you see what's going on. You go to any store and you see like just some stores have shelves empty. I'm like, way to go, XFL. You're going to be the ones that people remember for giving America just a few hours of normalcy, just be able to enjoy football. I was so excited, so looking forward to it. I'm like, man, all my other sports are canceled. I'll get to watch the XFL football. Nice work. And then they came out and canceled too, and I'm not going to lie, I really think they just blew an amazing opportunity. They could have been the ones like, hey, you remember that coronavirus hit and everyone was freaking out and the XFL still played and it gave us a little break from the craziness? I just think they blew a huge opportunity on that. I really do. Still going to support them. I know they're coming back next year, but I really think they blew an amazing opportunity to be the one last sport standing. I know there's NASCAR and the UFC, but as far as like sports with a ball, I really think they.
Well, there you have it. I think you got to use that 2-minute time limit. They had no choice. They really had no choice. There's nothing they could do about it. With player safety as the issue then at that point, you just couldn't do it. And then what if one team had an outbreak and the other team didn't? And then what if it was 2 weeks later and then they got sick? You just had to shut it down. Everybody had to shut it down. And we're just in this weird time, man. And I don't even know what's up, what's down. We're just kind of taking it day by day, my friends, hoping that we can get past this as a nation, as a world, as the United States of America. Get past this as the world gets past this, and then we can hang out again and watch our football and enjoy things and really appreciate life maybe a little bit more. Finally, last email, Donovan says, the XFL is an awesome product for 5 weeks. It was the most enjoyable thing on TV. And now that it's gone, I'm having withdrawals. I feel like I had a hot girlfriend and she ran off. Yikes. We're all kind of feeling that pain, my friend. We're all feeling that pain. All right, final phone caller.
Hey, this is Richard Humphrey, better known as Richard O for real, on Twitter. I have to say I'm very sad. I missed my XFL football. I was a big fan. I watched it getting in. I can't wait for 2021 for it to start back up again. But what do you think about this? I'm hearing about 2 new expansion teams might be coming out for next year. And do you think any other quarterback that started to show progress, like B.J. Daniel, P.J. Walker, Josh Johnson, and so on, will be back? Corndog, will they all be back next year, next season, or you think we're going to get a whole new group of quarterbacks?
I think, thanks for the phone call. If anything might happen, you could potentially see maybe LA not playing in the same stadium. You might see some stadium shifts, but you won't see teams completely move. Like, you're not going to see LA move to Alabama or something, Birmingham or Orlando or something like that. But I could see maybe LA moving to a different venue based on location or something like that. But that's about it. As far as the quarterbacks goes, I think the only guy we're going to lose is PJ Walker, maybe Jordan Ta'amu, but even still, he didn't have that much enough time to really separate himself. I mean, he's still a young guy. For whatever reason, teams didn't want him. I mean, Cardell, I think, will be back. I think B.J. Daniels will be back. I think a lot of these guys, I think a lot of the quarterbacks will be back because it's like I could kind of make around the same money. And there's more depth in the NFL, and that's potentially a problem because you're not going to get seen. So there's a double-edged sword with the new collective bargaining agreement in the NFL. So I think we're going to see a lot of these guys back, and some guys we're not going to see back because they're going to be like, you did not play very well. Maybe like an Aaron Murray or a Brandon Silvers could maybe be gone for next year. I mean, even these guys like getting paid. It's just terrible, terrible stuff. But hey, guess what, friends? we're going to talk about good stuff starting next week. So we'll get back on the game, recaps of the different teams. We'll have good news coming forward. This was kind of like the bummer episode of XFL News Hub. So if you want to be part of the show, you email podcast@xflnewshub.com or call 888-430-7692, extension 3. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all XFL News Hub. Plus, we got the Android app. So question of next week, which NFL team should P.J. Walker play for? I'm writing that down. NFL team should P.J. Walker play for? That's the question for next week. Which NFL team should P.J. Walker play for? I'm thinking Tampa or Jacksonville. We'll see what you guys think of that. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. We appreciate that. Listening to us everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and so much more. You got show notes, xflnewshub.com/xfl-podcast. It's been quite a ride, friends. I'm stunned that this season is over after 5 weeks, but not because of anything that anyone did wrong. We have a pandemic. You kidding me? A what? A who? And now we don't have any XFL. But we'll be covering it. And we'll just do it again. We'll just do this whole thing again for another year. We'll grind it out. Maybe we can get to 7 games. And then some other weird, stupid thing. Space aliens are going to come down and take over. And then we're going to negotiate with the space aliens. And it's going to be year 3 of the XFL. Then we're going to have regular players and space aliens in the league. That's what's going to happen in year 3. And then maybe by year 4, we finally get a full year without any kind of weird craziness happening. But hey, I pray for all you guys listening out there. Stay safe. Be smart. Don't listen to Fox News. I'll tell you that right now. That's straight up the truth. You all are paying attention to what's going on. And just stay safe and be smart. I want all you guys to come back. I mean, there's a chance. XFL fans that watched the XFL this year are not going to be back next year. Not because, of cancer and those other things, but because of what is happening right now. And that's sad. I mean, 3% mortality rate for a virus is bad. And sometimes it's a little bit more. And it's not just old people. It's affecting your 40-year-olds like myself and other people too, so even younger. So pray for everybody out there. Pray for the United States of America. Pray for all the different countries. Everybody in the world is affected. And hopefully at the end of the day, maybe this brings us all together just a little bit. And because we all need that. And then we'll just hop on DC Defenders. And the world, it won't become America's team anymore. It'll be the world's team, DC Defenders. And then everybody else in the XFL. All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. Mahalo. God bless y'all. And I will see you all later. Peace out.